Let's go live to Minnesota, where there should not be human beings. People should not live in Minnesota.
My family's from.
It's not because of October. I went there for the Super Bowl a few years ago, and I'm like, I don't understand why human beings live here. However, from my intel, JD, a buddy of a buddy is on the scene, and he tells me that this is like every other Niner road game, absolute sea of red outside and inside the building. Can you confirm or deny?
I can confirm and not deny, only confirm. There are a lot of 49er fans here, and I'm looking down at them. I mean, it seems like the majority of the 49er fans that are in the area are in their seats, and the Viking fans that are yet to be coming in here are dressed as purple seats, and every seat in this place at US Bank Stadium is purple. So it's purple seats right now, a percentage, and then the other split is 49er actual fans in jerseys and ready to cheer their team on. I'm impressed. I know the Chiefs were here a few weeks back, and I was talking to some people from the area within the last couple of hours, and there were a ton of Chiefs fans here for that game, and they feared that it was going to be that and worse for this game tonight. And yeah, it looks like a lot of 49er fans. This potentially being a destination stadium. The Vikings, obviously, a team that won the division last year in the NFC North. This is one of the place to finish games from last year. The Niners finished first, the Vikings finished first, so the Niners come here. And, yeah, a lot of red in the stands. And a beautiful day, by the way. When you say, Mark, why would anybody want to live here? Well, today would be, it's about 65 today. Beautiful, just walking around downtown. Like if you came here for the first time today, as yours truly came here for the first time today, I'm thinking, man, I think I could do it, because it's not -6 or -60 or whatever the heck it's going to be in 2 or 3 months.
No, seasonal. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the place. It was just in February. That's going to be a no from me, dog, for the rest of my life. I will never go back there in the dead of winter.
JD,
and I understand it.
You're making your Minneapolis debut. That's awesome. Before we get into the hardcore football, what'd you think of the downtown? Because I think it's sneaky underrated as an American city.
Mall of America.
Sneaky underrated for sure. Did not make it to Mall of America. I actually took the red eye last night, so I'm not going to get as much time as I usually like in a lot of these cities to explore. And coming back, obviously, for the Warriors tomorrow, and Warriors Live at 6 o'clock tomorrow.
Damn.
Here on 95.7 The Game.
Good Lord.
So, yeah, this is a JD back-to-back of all JD back-to-backs, fellas.
This is someone I've run into in the Oakland airport before, and apparently you're going to be spending a lot of time there again. Did you say red eye last night, football game tonight, and back in your chair for the Warrior game tomorrow night?
Absolutely. That's the way I roll. Nice to have a little weekend at home, able to watch some college football Saturday, not have to be on a plane, watch the NFL yesterday, and then had the red eye from SFO last night into Minneapolis this morning, get a little shut-eye, head to the game, join you guys, cover the game, and then right back on a flight tomorrow morning and ready to roll from Chase Center tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, look, we'll be out at Chase tomorrow in the team store, and come on by. I'll get you a latte, or I'll get you a double espresso or something, JD.
I think you're gonna give him a headset is what you're going to give him.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Because he'll sit down and do the show.
Yeah,
right?
well, before you want to come in, we'll get you some coffee.
No, that's good to know. That's good to know, because I was told I was at the team shop, but I didn't realize that you guys were going to be at the team shop like we did in the playoffs.
Exactly.
So that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Big time.
And we will not ask you to sing this time.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's early.
No, definitely not.
We'll save that for the playoffs.
Not an opening night.
No singing tomorrow. Christian McCaffrey, will he be playing tonight, JD, a lot? What do you expect from CMC in terms of workload? We know he's active and he's going to be up. Have you gotten any sense for how they'll utilize him?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of testing him out and seeing how much he can withstand the pain tolerance issue that comes with this oblique/rib. I think McCaffrey knows only one way. So I think he goes out there and they come up with a game plan that's pretty similar to the game plans that they've had in the past, and then they see if he can tolerate it. To me, if he's able to get out there, you want him to be as close to full go as he possibly can, and then you make the adjustment off of that. Now, the fact that he didn't get on the practice field this week until Friday, I would say Kyle Shanahan probably came up with some contingency plans and the like with Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason to be able to offset some of it. But to me, I think it's a matter of McCaffrey testing whether or not he can withstand the punishment. He came back into the game in Cleveland and couldn't withstand the punishment, and that ended his day. So we'll see if that winds up being the case tonight.
JD is with us in Minnesota, live on the scene, getting ready for 49er football right here on Willard and Dibbs 95.7 The Game. JD, what about Jalen Moore? What do you think about his readiness to step in for Trent Williams and not have the offensive line play fall apart?
Yeah, that's the big test, I think, tonight. How much help do they give Jalen Moore? How much is Danielle Hunter able to wreak havoc? I think that's really the one way where this game has the potential to be closer than expected, is if the Vikings are able to wreck shop and take advantage of the fact that Jalen Moore's going to be out there. I go back to what Trent Williams said after the game in Cleveland. He said he didn't feel that it was right for him to not attempt to go back into that game, to leave Jalen Moore basically in a road environment to have to deal with Myles Garrett last week. Well, Danielle Hunter is no Myles Garrett, but he's no slouch leading the NFL in sacks coming into this game tonight. So I think the Niners are going to have to help Jalen Moore as much as possible. And that could mean more George Kittle over on the left side tonight, and we'll see if that maybe limits some of his ability to be a pass-catching producer for the 49ers. And when they're going to need pass catchers as well. I mean, with Deebo Samuel down, McCaffrey potentially limited as well. And so I think that's the number one thing to watch as far as I'm concerned for the 49ers, because if they can protect Brock Purdy, even with a limited Christian McCaffrey, I think they should be able to put some points up on the board tonight.
Against a Minnesota defense that we do know love to blitz a lot, and they're pretty solid against the run, not as much against the pass. On the other side, JD, Kirk Cousins, always been a hot button quarterback topic here in the Bay Area because of Kyle Shanahan being covetous of Kirk all these years. What do you make of the season he's had, and what do you expect of Minnesota without their number one weapon offensively?
Well, it's prime time Kirk Cousins tonight, right? Which also bodes well for the 49ers. Yeah. Cousins with the awful primetime record in his career. And so I think, you take a weapon away. I think the 49ers should be able to get pressure. I think Cousins is a turnover or two waiting to happen. I think it's a pick and a strip sack turnover in line tonight. I feel like it's multi-turnovers for the 49ers that help them flip this game in their favor. But to your point, Dibbs, about Kyle Shanahan, if Brock Purdy starts to falter, then look out. The whispers are going to start, right? Kirk Cousins to San Francisco in 2024, right, fellas?
Come on,
I'm kidding. Mark, before you come through the microphone,
seriously,
I totally made that up.
I was about one more sentence away from all my hair was going to come off. Holy smokes, we would have been twins on this show by tomorrow if you had gone any further.
Triplets, yeah.
Anyway, all right. JD with us live in Minnesota. Hey, Drake Greenlaw is back. How do you think that changes things on the defensive side?
Big time. They missed him, and I think that was a big part of the reason that the Browns were able to run on the 49ers so effectively. I mean, he's been a tone setter. Fred Warner's gotten the credit, and rightfully so, for some of the physical hits and big-time tackles that he's made in some of these games early. And obviously the Cowboys game, I mean, he was just flying around like a man possessed, Warner was. But Greenlaw's been right there with him. Always towing that line between, picking up a flag and potentially a fine and letting everybody know that they're going to lay wood in terms of the 49ers defense. So I think having him back really fortifies the ability for the 49ers to stop the run, which I think, try to make the Vikings a little one-dimensional. Primetime Kirk Cousins, And I think that translates into a couple of turnovers to where if the 49ers need them tonight and the offense feels a little iffy just based on the fact that you're taking a couple of players away from the offense that's been so potent. But I also think on that side of the ball, Kyle Shanahan with a week to prepare, he knows more what he has to do tonight rather than having players be taken away in game, as was the case in Cleveland. So I think Kyle makes the adjustments. I think Purdy, if the Vikings are going to blitz as much as everybody thinks, he's going to have to get it out. And he's shown that he has an ability in a pretty sterile environment in terms of indoors here and the elements to be able to sling it and get the ball out and make some plays. So I actually think this is going to be a big time. This feels like could be a big Brock Purdy game as well on the offensive side.
Certainly an opportunity to be one. We were talking to JD out in Minnesota. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
You mentioned a possible strip sack of Kirk Cousins, and that would be most likely one of the big boys up front. Javon Hargrave's been good. Nick Bosa's been solid. What do you expect to see from this Niner front in terms of disruption, not only of Kirk Cousins, but the Minnesota run game as well?
Yeah, I think the Niners are going to have to stop the run without a doubt. I think this is a Hargrave game. I think this is a Nick Bosa birthday spectacular, prime time, almost coming out game type of a scenario for him, where it's like, all right, got the big money, time to play make in a major way, and just let everybody know. Everybody always knows he's there on the football field, but I think tonight's one of those nights where he's actually going to put up the numbers that back up the play that he brings on a week-in, week-out basis. I feel like this is a monster Nick Bosa night for the 49ers.
JD, can we talk about that for a sec? Like,
sure.
How would you share with people, because everybody's so A to B. Nick Bosa, sacks. We want sacks, and there's not enough of them. But there's the advanced metrics that would suggest that he's still playing great football. How do you see it?
I think he's playing great football. I think he's getting pressure, even if he's not getting home. I think that pressure hasn't always translated into other sacks for other players. The 49ers sack numbers collectively are down, but I do think it's transformed into incompletions. I do think it's transformed into some quicker, shorter passes by the 49ers opponents that have led to maybe Dre Greenlaw or Fred Warner wrecking somebody for a short gain. And it's been a lot of 3 and outs, without maybe the 3rd and 20s that can come from an early down sack or getting off the field on 3rd down in a big spot with a sack. But I think the 49er defense has been more than effective when they've been whole. The Browns game with the ability for Cleveland to run on them aside, and a couple of just individual possessions in some other games, I think it's pretty much been all systems go. I've been impressed with the 49er defense to this point this season. I thought they were going to be a little vulnerable coming into the season, and that just really hasn't been the case.
And you thought the vulnerability would be mainly in the secondary, right, JD? And how impressed have you been, particularly by Isaiah Oliver stepping up and playing in that nickel corner spot?
One of the big surprises, because he did not have a good training camp. In fact, he had a bad training camp, and he didn't have a great preseason aside from a couple of plays in one game. And I think, with the 49ers rotating their nickel at the beginning of the year, I think there was some belief that he was in the doghouse. But as the season has gone on, he's solidified himself really as the nickel and somebody that's much more of a gamer than a practice player, and the 49ers have certainly needed him to be to this point. So, yeah, he's been a pleasant surprise, I think, from just what you thought had the ability to be a problematic position for the 49ers coming into the season.
JD, let's hear it, man. What do you think this one looks like tonight? How's it go?
I think the Niners win tonight. I think it's 31-17, maybe 31-20. But they control it, and the Vikings are trying to get back into it, as the game goes on, but to no avail. And the 49ers, I think they kind of roll in this one. The score at 31-17, maybe not indicative of the total dominance, even though it would be a cover.
By the way, completely off the subject, since you'll be on a plane right back tomorrow. No Draymond. Who's starting? Do you know? Let's go. Give it up.
Well, you coaching?
For the Warriors tomorrow?
Yeah, who's starting?
Chris Paul.
Okay.
Steph Curry.
All right.
Klay Thompson.
All right.
Andrew Wiggins. Kevon Looney.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's the five.
Yeah, thank you, JD. He's of a different mindset, but
no, I'm not of a different.
I appreciate the quiet countenance of a veteran broadcaster.
I don't think it's that simple. Lock it in for sure, Chris Paul. That's all I'm saying.
You coaching?
Yeah.
I'd like to. He makes more than me.
I think it's a nice opportunity for Steve Kerr to roll with it and not have to upset the apple cart from day one. They've also practiced it the most, I think, and that's been the lineup that's been out there when all those guys have been healthy and available in the preseason. I think if you've watched the way Steve Kerr's handled the five-man groupings that have played together, I think there's been some tells as far as who's going to play with whom. And when Draymond comes back, they may have to tweak it. My guess is Draymond's probably going to come off the bench for a few games when he does come back, if that's Friday in Sacramento. But I think they're going to roll with that group, and I think they've been pleasantly surprised with that five, with Draymond out and Chris Paul in and Looney at center, to where they're going to ride it out and sub Chris Paul out to sub him back in with the bench group and see how that rolls.
This man took a red eye all the way to Minnesota to give us Warriors takes. Incredible. Just incredible work, JD.
You got it. Always a pleasure, my guys.
Enjoy the game, my brother. We'll see you tomorrow at the team store.
Exactly. Safe flight.
See you tomorrow. Thanks.
Okay, there it is. JD on the scene in
Boots
Minnesota.
on the ground,
Boots on the ground
yes.
with all the other 49er fans, apparently.
Right.